The girl is hung up and whipped be her werewolf husband every night. Sometimes he would even hold her by the neck and do deep squats for a long time. So the girl gets up every morning. I still feel a burning pain behind me. All because she has a very dominant werewolf beast husband. Strangely enough, the wolf beast husband looks like someone very prone to domestic violence on the surface. But behind the scenes, he is actually a wife-spoiling maniac. After Yuzu arrived at the Beast World tribe, she faced a huge problem. Survival. She has no family, no partner. To survive, she must, before the tropical season ends, stockpile enough dried vegetables and dried fruits. Fortunately, Yuzu is from the White Spirit Mouse clan, petite in stature, with a baby face. So, Sister Yuna thought she was an underage female, and arranged for her to eke out a living in a small cave. Her daily task is to climb trees and pick fruit. Even if it meant grinding her legs until they bled, she would still crawl. However, because the commotion was too great, it attracted the attention of a wolf beastman. It turned out that the daily commotion Yuzu made prevented Faye, who was resting nearby, from sleeping well each day. Seeing this wolf beastman's tall stature, an overwhelming sense of aggression, Yuzu was so frightened she quickly backed away. Seeing her so fearful and defensive, Faye immediately recognized her as a member of the White Spirit Mouse tribe. Faye remarked, "If you want to live well, just picking this many fruits isn't enough. Finding a partner is more practical." Afterwards, he casually found a spot to sit down, extending his large hand for the little female to give him fruit to eat. Yuzu felt her scalp tingle under his gaze. Looking at the two fruits by her feet, without any hesitation, she picked one up and slowly shuffled over to hand it to him. Faye was captivated by her appearance and fair, delicate skin. This kind of timid, fearful demeanor only intensified his protective instincts. Watching Yuzu take small bites of the fruit, Faye couldn't help but curl the corners of his mouth into a smile. He spoke up, "Picking so many fruits, if you can't finish them, they'll spoil." But Yuzu shook her head and continued picking fruit, because she knew she could use sunlight to dry them into fruit preserves. Afterwards, as long as they were stored properly, they could last a very long time. Thus, Faye unconsciously began picking fruit for her. In no time, they had picked several days' worth of food for Yuzu. Looking at the pile of fruit before her, Yuzu was stunned. She never expected someone who looked so fierce to help her pick fruit. Watching as wild fruits kept falling one after another, Yuzu stared with her big, round eyes. Faye looked at Yuzu's satisfied expression and felt inexplicably happier. He asked, "Is this enough to eat?" Yuzu quickly replied, "It's enough, thank you. Once the dried fruit is ready, I'll send some over to you." Looking at the little female before him, Faye felt an inexplicable itch in his heart. Suddenly, he remembered that he was a meat eater, yet he had just been eating fruit. Thinking of this, he began to feel somewhat hungry. He turned and headed into the forest to hunt. This also meant Yuzu left behind didn't get to ask his name. However, she recalled what Sister Yuna had said, that this mountain range was inhabited entirely by wolf tribes. She should be able to find out who he was soon. To bring so much fruit back to the cave, Yuzu had no choice but to cut and dry them on the spot. It wasn't until the sun was nearly setting that she finished her work. Unexpectedly, during the tribe's evening meal, Yuzu really ran into the wolf beastman from that morning. Sister Yuna pulled her to sit under a large tree, where two men were grilling meat nearby. One was Sister Yuna's partner, Shunning, and the other was the man who had picked fruit for her that morning. Before I even had the chance to ask his name, I heard Sister Yuna call that man Brother Yi. So he was Faye. It is said that Faye is the fiercest person in the giant wolf tribe. He often gets into fights with the tribesmen. Just like now, Yuzu was just about to take the roasted meat Sister Yuna offered her. when a piece of roasted meat larger than her face was handed right before her eyes. Looking up, it was Faye's large palm. Yuzu was immediately at a loss. After snapping back to reality, she quickly waved her hands. Brother, Yi, I can't eat this much. The roasted meat in front of her was as big as a Jinhua ham. Holding it, she wouldn't be able to take more than a few bites before feeling full. Yuna's gaze was filled with confusion and surprise. Her eyes swept back and forth between the two, trying hard to understand what was happening before her. What is going on? Did they take a liking to each other at first sight? But that's not quite right either. It should be that Brother Yi has taken a fancy to Yuzu. Fei pushed the roasted meat in his hand forward, signaling that Yuzu should just eat what he grilled. As Fei moved, his sitting posture shifted a bit closer to Yuzu. A faint, almost imperceptible smile flickered across his face. You're still young. You need to eat more meat. Try to eat fewer wild fruits if you can. Otherwise, you won't grow tall. Yuzu, who was already an adult, felt a deafening silence in this moment. From now on, I'll grill meat and bring it to you. You can have as much as you want. I promise to raise you fair and plump. Yuzu swallowed hard, somewhat overwhelmed. Her gaze turned to Sister Yuna. What does this mean? As a result, those two were also stunned. Their eyes shifted back and forth between her and Fei, completely unaware of her question. However, Fei pouted his lips and began to grow impatient. Take it. Give me whatever you can't finish. Why does eating meat require so much thought? Hearing his tone begin to turn unpleasant, Yuzu timidly reached out and took the meat. The freshly grilled meat was still sizzling with oil. It was so hot, she instantly handed it back. It was caught steadily by Fei. It's too hot. Fei steadily took the grilled meat with one hand, as if he couldn't feel any pain at all. He frowned, looking at the little female's reddened palm and fingers. She kept touching her ears. Fine beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. He looked somewhat doubtfully at his own hand. Was it really that hot? After reaching adulthood, Fei had lived alone. He had too little contact with females. He only knew he should grill meat for his mate, whether females were afraid of heat or not. He really hadn't paid special attention to it. Therefore, he pulled out the sharp, ancient knife he always carried, carefully cut the meat into small pieces, then handed the cut pieces of grilled meat to Yuzu. It's not hot now. Yuzu cautiously extended both hands. Then, under his sharp gaze, he started eating in big mouthfuls, trying to cover up the unease in his heart this way. Seeing the little female so hungry, Feng also got more enthusiastic, continuously cutting the meat into small pieces and handing them over. Because after the brief encounter with the little female in the morning, he had been inspired to catch a few more plump furbiasts. After all, their meat is the most tender, suitable for the little female to eat. Looking back, only a thigh meat was left for shunning and the others. Yuna and the other instantly understood. He had taken a liking to the little female, wanted to become her mate. At this moment, Yuzu's mouth was stuffed full, feeling somewhat like crying, but having no tears. When there was no meat, she wanted to eat. After eating too much, she wanted to cry, finally managing to swallow the meat in her mouth. Her hands were inexplicably filled with a lot more meat. I can't eat anymore. You eat it. Fei glanced at her belly, which hadn't bulged, reluctantly took it over, picked up that piece of roasted meat, and quickly ate it. His eating manner was extremely bold. Yuzu reached out and touched her own teeth. Feeling some pain, Fei stood up and clapped his hands, handed her the water prepared earlier. The weather is so hot. You must be thirsty. After drinking, I'll take you back. Yuzu originally wanted to refuse, because it's only a 10+ minute walk. But Fei still waited in place. Along the way, Fei didn't speak, watched Yuzu enter the cave before hurriedly leaving. Yuna, sitting by the fire, nudged her partner with her elbow. When did Brother Yi and Yuzu meet? Does he want Yuzu to become his partner? But Yuzu is still young. Can Faye wait until then? Brother Yi isn't one to hold himself back. With Yuzu's small frame, how could she withstand a grown male? What they found strange was that Faye usually doesn't bring back prey, yet he's been so attentive, doing all sorts of things for the little female. Really thoughtful. But the tribe has a rule. No one can touch an underage female. Brother Yi knows the limits. In Yuna's heart, the males of the giant wolf tribe are the best. If Yuzu is willing, that would be ideal. They can wait until she's of age to mate. She wondered if she should go over and tell her about the benefits of staying here. But she just mentioned that Brother Yi has a bit of a temper. Yuzu, with her soft nature, would surely be scared of someone like that. Recalling what Faye did today, and the way he looked at her, like she was prey, Yuzu felt a wave of fear. There are many tribes in the northern beast world. In some tribes, if a female can bear offspring, she will mate with various males. Those who cannot bear children are passed around among male beastmen, living like tools for pleasure. There are also tribes where one has only one partner for life, and can only seek another after one passes away. The giant wolf tribe happens to be one of them. So, Yuzu had always been grateful that she hadn't suffered too much, and was picked up and brought back. She never even thought about running away. She planned to use her own doll-like, underage-looking face, and wait until she slowly adapted before finding a partner. As for the cold wave, as long as she stored enough food, and knew how to build a heated kangbed, she wasn't afraid she wouldn't make it through. But now, Faye's face, which looked like it belonged to someone who would commit domestic violence, kept swirling in her mind, tormenting her for a long time before she finally fell asleep. The next day, Yuzu woke up. The sun was already high in the sky. Looking at the meager amount of dried fruit in the cave, she still couldn't stop. She went to the place where she had dried the fruit yesterday. The moisture had dried out by half. She could collect it tomorrow. She couldn't climb the fruit trees here, so she had to search in places she hadn't looked before, to see if there were any fruit trees she could climb. Unfortunately, after searching for a long time, she still couldn't find any. She could only slowly walk back. However, when she returned to the cave, before even entering, she saw Faye as if he had returned to his own home, sitting comfortably inside in a spot he had found, which was exactly the place she had spread dry grass to sleep on. Remembering his behavior from yesterday, Yuzu's footsteps paused slightly. At the cave entrance, her feet simply couldn't step inside. Hearing the sound of returning footsteps, Faye suddenly opened his eyes, staring straight at Yuzu's face, then slowly moving his gaze to the inside of her thighs. There is still some redness and swelling. It looks a bit unsightly. Come lie down. I'll apply medicine for you. Yuzu quickly backed away, using her hand to brace against the wall. Is just applying medicine. Why do I have to lie down? Her breathing became rapid. She just stood at the cave entrance, not going in. The wounds on her body were caused by climbing a tree, on her calf and inner thigh. How dare she let him apply medicine for her? I'll do it myself. After saying this, she moved 2 stones from outside to the cave entrance. Faye's eyebrows rose high. He naturally wanted to apply it for her personally, but seeing how scared she looked, he meaningfully curved the corner of his mouth. He didn't repeat his offer to apply the medicine for her. Picked up the medicinal herbs and walked over, watching her fuss. Yuzu kept smashing the herbs with the stones. Green medicinal juice splattered. If this continued, there wouldn't be any juice left to apply to her wounds. He stopped Yuzu's actions, picked up a handful of herbs, broke them, and placed them in his palm, gently crushed them with force. The medicinal juice flowed down his palm. Faye reminded her in a not bad tone. Catch it with your hands. Yuzu extended both hands. The medicinal juice dripped by drop into her hands. Her eyes swept around the cave. The space was only this big. Seeing that he wasn't restraining her, she steeled herself, turned around, and applied it to her wounds. Faye scoffed. With his height, even if Yuzu turned around, what should be seen is still visible. The leather skirt is hitched up at the thighs. Fair, tender, and slender thighs come into view. It makes his throat tighten. Wants to touch. Wants to squeeze. Rubbing and dawdling. For how long? It was wiped. Faye watched for that long. Only feels an itch all over his body. Thirsts terribly. He takes out a few fruits and places them on the stone. One slap down. They split into several pieces. Eat something. I'm very hungry right now. Faye is not just hungry. His whole body is also hot. Yuzu's gaze involuntarily shifts to his abdomen. Can't tell if he's hungry or not. 8 neatly arranged abdominal muscles. I'm not hungry yet. You eat. Yuzu does not touch those fruits. Have eaten too much these past few days. However, as soon as the words are spoken, a piece is shoved into her hand. Eat. The tone is casual, yet carries an undeniable attitude. Yuzu has no choice but to slowly finish it, feeling somewhat puzzled in her heart. Isn't it said that after males eat, they don't need to eat again for several days? How come he gets hungry so quickly? Faye notices her occasionally glancing at his stomach. Directly asks, "Do you like it here? It's hard. Come touch." On the arms and legs, too. Can touch all over. After speaking, he moves closer and closer to Yuzu. Yuzu's hand grips her skirt tightly. This is just too direct. She was so frightened that her voice became hesitant. No, don't touch. Faye saw how shy she was. He grinned and laughed. What's there to be embarrassed about? If you want to touch, I'll let you touch my whole body. Seeing that not only her face was flushed, but her skin was also starting to turn red, his hand began to itch again. His left hand, gripping the fruit, slowly tightened. He could hardly hold back. With a crunch, the fruit in his hand was instantly crushed into pulp. His right hand grabbed Yuzu's head. How about we become mates? Yuzu was pressed tightly against his chest, almost unable to breathe. In the end, she tactfully refused. This is moving too fast. I want to try taking things slowly, till I come of age. But Faye knew that in the tribe, as long as a male and female took a liking to each other, they would mate that very day. They had already taken a liking to each other days ago. This wasn't fast at all. He then added, I can wait until you come of age, because in the tribe, once a female comes of age, she immediately seeks a mate. If there's no one she likes, the chief will assign her one. There's simply no time to take things slow. Plus, he was the best at hunting and fighting, which made her feel completely secure. After Faye finished speaking, he immediately left the cave entrance. His body was burning hot at that moment. If he stayed any longer, it might lead to disaster. Yuzu was left standing there in a daze by his words. She had originally planned to get through this tropical season on her own. But Faye's forceful words left her caught in a dilemma. So Yuzu began thinking again about what to do in the future. The giant claw wolf tribe was powerful. Their beast forms were enormous. They had high combat prowess, and were fiercely protective of their own. Their teamwork was exceptional. Few beastmen dared to provoke them. More importantly, they were loyal by nature, having only one mate for life. Since adult females had to find a mate, at least the male beastmen of the giant claw wolf tribe were the best choice. And Faye was even willing to wait for her, carrying unease about the future. Yuzu didn't sleep all night. She got up as soon as dawn broke, thinking Faye would come early in the morning to ask for an answer. She hurriedly splashed cold water on her face to wake herself up. The swelling on her legs had already subsided. She went to the stream and took off her skirt, just as she was about to go into the water for a couple of swims. Who would have thought Faye's bronze chest would suddenly emerge from the water, scaring her into shrieking loudly. because Yuzu had already taken off her outer clothes by now. Yuzu quickly turned around, picked up her skirt, and put it on. Faye came out of the water, dripping all over. Yuzu didn't know where to look, so she stammered that she was going back. It turned out Faye hadn't slept last night either. He had soaked in the water for a while, then went back and circled the cave where Yuzu was staying. The heat all over his body was about to make him explode, so I spent the whole night staying in the water. Faye then reached out his arm and wrapped it around Yuzu's shoulder, not planning to let her go. Unexpectedly, Yuzu didn't refuse his action. Faye's eyes lit up. Is this agreeing to me? He gently pinched the back of Yuzu's neck, making her look up at him. Then he heard Yuzu softly hum in agreement. Although the sound was small, Faye's heartbeat at that moment was thunderous. He lifted Yuzu with one hand, held her against his chest, let her legs wrap around his waist, ready to go home. I have a wife now. Hearing him say this, Yuzu's entire face turned bright red, so she asked the question she had always been worried about. Faye, you won't hit me in the future, right? Faye was instantly amused and exasperated by her question. Even if I were to fight, it would be with males. What's the point of fighting a female I could flip with one finger? Besides, you are my mate. I cherish you too much to even think of it. I won't hit you. His low voice sounded by her ear. Yuzu felt her whole body steaming. She asked again, what if I can't bear children? Faye didn't hesitate at all, responding directly. There are quite a few females in the tribe who can't bear children. If we can't, then we can't. No one knows what will happen in the future. These words truly put Yuzu's heart at ease a lot. The worries in her heart could finally be put to rest. Since she decided to follow Faye, she must live well. Faye also solemnly said, I will definitely treat you well. Along the way, the ambiguous actions between the two were like those of newly dating lovers. Yuzu kept rubbing her ears against him in his embrace. Faye, however, was helpless, muttering in his heart, damn. All this rubbing. My ears are turning red. This doesn't even count as rubbing. Yuzu whispered softly. Faye froze, his large arms holding her tightened slightly. Only after hearing Yuzu's soft whimper did he realize he had hurt her. So he took the chance to tease her about her petite body. Unable to handle even a little force, she should eat more meat in the future, grow round and plump. Understand? Yuzu blushed and hurriedly told him to stop talking. Now that she had Faye, first, she wouldn't lack food. And second, when the cold wave came, Faye would transform into his wolf form to keep her warm. She wouldn't suffer from the cold either. But when the windy season arrived, the beastmen would start fighting and competing with each other. There was still much to do before that. However, when Yuzu arrived at Faye's home, she was immediately stunned. Apart from a large stone bed and a pile of animal hides, there were no other items. It was almost the same as the cave she used to live in. This was like marrying a pauper. The days ahead would be busy. So she picked out a few thin animal hides, planning to make some clothes, and the one who had returned from hunting outside. Faye saw her bustling about with this and that, and hurriedly told her to rest properly, lest the injury on her leg flare up again. Then he proceeded to roast meat, while gazing with gentle eyes at the bride he had just brought home. And seeing Faye sweating all over from just roasting meat, Yuzu remarked, this lifestyle is really rough. She thought about getting something to wipe his sweat, but alas, the cave had nothing. So she could only take the just uncovered, soft animal hide, sit by his side and ask, I want to use these to make a set of clothes. Is that okay? Those are all yours. Do whatever you want with them. No need to ask me. Because in Faye's eyes, providing for a mate is what a male should do. After receiving the affirmative answer, Yuzu was just about to get busy. When she realized there were no bone needles, she could only go borrow some from Sister Yuna in a few days. However, just as the two were flirting, Yuzu heard the howling of wolves outside. What's happening? Fei's eyes suddenly turned unusually sharp. He patted Yuzu's head. It's nothing. Troublemakers have come. Don't be afraid. Wait for me obediently at home. It turned out the news of Fei bringing Yuzu back to the cave had already spread. Underlings Flare and Fuming came to report, saying, Bro, Yomo, that bad brat, brought the clan leader and the clan mistress over. Says you snatched an underage sister-in-law back. Fei knew these two guys, also wanted to know if it was true. Didn't respond to them. Instead quietly waited for the clan leader's arrival. In a short while, this place was surrounded by wolf beastmen. There was the clan leader, the clan mistress, and also Yuna and Shunning, who are very familiar with Fei. The rest was Yomo, who's always been against Fenjai, bringing his mother and daughter. Fei. Yomo told me. You found an underage partner. Looks thin and small. At a glance, can't bear children. Even if born, the body won't be good. You look at my Yozi. Will be an adult soon. Body is exceptionally strong. Can bear as many children as she wants. Yozi was pulled to the front. Seeing Fei's ice-cold face, she retreated back a bit. Before she had lingered around Fei, not only gained no advantage, but was also coldly ignored. After that, never approached him again. The clan leader and clan mistress glanced at each other. So these people were using the excuse of making a complaint as a pretense to matchmake their own daughter. Yomo on the side hearing this, felt somewhat embarrassed too. He came to cause trouble for Fei, but with his mother opening her mouth like this, all face was lost. Too bad this mother isn't afraid of Fei's side. Watching the joke, still trying to peddle your own daughter off. The surface words sound pleasant, saying it's to become a harmonious family. But behind the scenes, they covet Fei's personal abilities, wanting their daughter to become his partner so that, in the tribe, they call the shots. In the future, everyone would have to follow her daughter's orders. Yomo's little aunt spoke up. Fei. Our relationship here. We both understand each other. Yozi is much better than the females from other tribes. Fei sneered. What relationship do we have? Separated by several mountains. We hardly see each other a few times a year. And you call that a relationship? Whether your female can bear children, how many offspring she can have, has even less to do with me. Fei's gaze sharpened, piercing straight toward Yomo Yolin. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly, revealing a cold sneer. Those two males from your family actually have quite a few grievances with me. On the way back later, you'd better run with all your might. Make sure not to get caught by me. Flare and Fuming, hearing their big brother say this, instantly perked up. Shunning fanned the flames from the side. Just those two have too much free time. Probably itching for a beating. Wanting to fight with us. The little ant on the side immediately panicked. The few males living on this mountain are all hot-tempered. They'll throw hands at the drop of a hat. Chief, I didn't say anything. If Yomo and Yolin get beaten up, I'll have to come to you for justice. The chief, however, had a headache. Every day, it's all these trivial little matters being dealt with. Especially, this mountain area has the most incidents. Although Fei doesn't actively look for trouble, many matters are related to him. So he told all these people to go back. Don't go looking for trouble. Getting beaten up, and then coming to him to complain. However, Yomo refused to let it go. Chief, you're favoring Fei. He actually snatched an underage female and took her back. And the chief's wife is here too. That female, just by feeling her hand bones, can tell whether it's true or false. After all, females can choose their partners. Him sneakingly snatching her back. What kind of behavior is that? The ghost nearby also chimed in. I secretly saw that female before. Fair and tender. Definitely not an adult. A male with a bad temper like Fei. What female would be willing to become his partner? Feng also responded through gritted teeth. Even if she's underage, I can raise her until she's an adult. What's it to you? Yuzu is already in my cave now. If she wasn't willing, why would she live with me? These two brothers refused to believe it and wanted to go check the cave. Fei kicked a large stone by the side into the middle of the road. Take one more step forward and try it. Flare and the others instantly blocked the path, looking ready for a fight. The chief's wife pulled the chief back. Looking at this situation, it really might have been a snatch and take back. The reason Fei didn't want them to force an inspection was because he had just asked Yuzu which tribe she came from, and was shocked by her answer. If Yuzu really didn't want to stay, he would still take her back by force. But he didn't want to hear those words about wanting to leave from Yuzu's mouth. However, Sister Yuna, amidst this stalemate, had quietly slipped into the cave, just as she was about to say some good words for Fei, to persuade Yuzu to stay. Yuzu asked at that moment, Sister Yuna, if we just let the witch doctor confirm that I'm already an adult, then this matter is settled, right? What? Yuna widened her eyes, somewhat unable to believe it. You're an adult? Yuzu scratched her head awkwardly. Yes, I just became an adult today. He. Yuna raised her voice. So you weren't taken back to the cave, brother, you by force? Yuzu retorted. Of course not. I was willing. Yuna rubbed her hair, somewhat frantic. So this whole thing was a joke? Brother Yi was stopping those people because he was afraid Yuzu would leave with the clan leader later, because in the tribe, females brought back from other places all lived together in one designated area. Hearing Sister Yuna say this, Yuzu was utterly terrified. She immediately dashed off towards the foot of the mountain. When Fei saw her run out, his face was full of worry. But then, he heard her say that she was already an adult. Instantly dumbfounded. You little rat spirit. So all these days I've been completely fooled by you. Afterward, Yuzu was identified as an adult female. Fei then rolled up his sleeves, ready to cause trouble for this group of people. Yomo, standing nearby, didn't realize the seriousness of the situation, and kept pressing close to Yuzu. Yuzu, Fei has a really strange temper. How about becoming my partner? Before Yuzu could refuse, Fei transformed into his beast form, pounced on Yomo, pinning him to the ground and biting him fiercely. The scene descended into chaos. Sister Yuna nearby winked at Yuzu. So, is Brother Yi fierce or not? Do you like it? Yuzu was stunned. The topic shifted too quickly. She simply couldn't respond. She just felt that Fei, whether in human form or beast form, was tall and imposing. No wonder the cave he lives in is so big. Sister Yuna, seeing her shyness, even started educating her about hot knowledge. My partner shunning is because he fights well, can protect me. Plus, he's also impressive in other areas. You're probably in for some suffering these next couple of days. After hearing this, Yuzu was instantly dumbfounded. Oh no. The fact that I previously deceived Fei about being underage. Tonight, I'm probably going to suffer terribly for it. In the end, the matter concluded with Yomo's complete defeat. Fei fiercely grabbed Yomo's neck and said with sinister malice, if I hear those words again, I don't mind letting the giant wolf tribe have one less male. Yomo could tell he wasn't joking. That look in his eyes really wanted to kill him. After that, he obediently called for mother and left with a group of people. Yuzu stared blankly at Fenjing. His earlier defense was something he hadn't expected. He felt a bit at a loss inside. Shunning and Yuna were already used to the commotion. Seeing the fight was over, they each scattered and returned to the cave. Fei bent down, picked up Yuzu and walked toward the cave. Yuzu still felt uneasy inside, not knowing what to say. but suddenly noticed Faye's shoulder was injured. Go to the cave where I live. There are still the herbs you picked yesterday. I'll help clean your wound. At this moment, Fuming interrupted and said, Sister-in-law, males and females are different. For a small injury like Brother Yi's, sleeping it off will heal it. No need for medicine at all. Yuzu expressed some confusion. Asked Faye, really or not? His temple twitched faintly. His tone was cold. Pretty much. Yuzu smelled anger. Didn't dare to speak. The atmosphere grew somewhat quiet. Her mind churned for a long time, before finally blurting out, Are you angry? You said you wouldn't hit me. Even if you're angry, you can't. Faye knew she was acting this way because she was too scared. He wasn't that angry to begin with. But hearing this really did piss him off. He stopped walking, pinched her face to make her look at him. Always thinking I would hit you. What kind of feeling is that exactly? Anyway, it doesn't feel good. Her wary expression made even the wind feel helpless. Clearly, he had never thought of hurting her. Wouldn't even dare to lay a finger on her. Why is she so afraid of him? Why do you think I want to hit you at any moment? When you don't speak or smile, you look very fierce. That's the feeling. You just look very fierce. And now, you're pinching my face so tightly. Even fiercer. Yuzu spoke weakly, her voice as soft as a mosquito's hum. And one more sentence stuck in her throat, unspoken. It's just too improper, too direct. Seems like you can't wait to pounce on me at any moment. That state really makes me a little scared. Faye's fingers loosened slightly. With Yuzu's soft voice, even the greatest anger dissipated. He said quietly, I said I wouldn't. And I will definitely keep my word. Don't ask such things again in the future. I don't like hearing it. Yuzu stared at his face for a while, then asked again, Are you angry now then? Not exactly. Faye's voice was slightly hoarse. It's just that holding back is very hard. When did you become an adult? Her little mind turned for a long time. Before she whispered, It's been many hours already. That should be right. Anyway, he can think whatever he wants. Faye gritted his teeth, then let out a light laugh. You can talk. Yuzu was stunned. She didn't dare speak again. Faye placed her on the stone bed. Their gazes met. He had originally thought Yuzu was still underage, so he had been holding back all this time. Otherwise, he would have mated with her long ago. Why would he have taken so many cold baths? Now, he didn't want to wait a moment longer. The beastly nature deep in Faye's bones was unleashed to its extreme at this moment. He leaned down, closing in on her. Weren't you asking me before? Why, I'm looking at your neck. It's not just your neck and what's exposed that I want to see. I want to see the places that are covered too. What he wanted, he would go and do directly. Now, he wanted her. Faye's low, hoarse voice made Yuzu's nerves tense up. The heat from his palm transmitted through her clothes. It was so hot she could barely breathe. Her body trembled slightly. And the person holding her was even more heat-sensitive than she was. The places where they touched were sticky. It was as uncomfortable as could be. She pressed down on his large hand, which was already rubbing against her back. She stammered as she called him. Faye, let's go take a bath. It's too hot. We're all sweaty. Outside? Yuzu's face instantly flushed red. Her tone became unsteady. No, not that. There are flying beastmen here. Even though there are branches for cover, who knows how sharp their eyes are? Will you be seen? Faye laughed loudly. Don't worry, every male has his own territory. No one goes to the bathing spot. There are also caves for cover. No one will see. He paused. His voice dropped lower. I won't let other males see you either. Only I can look. The last sentence was spoken with extreme ambiguity, causing the person in his arms to tremble slightly. Before she could answer, Faye scooped her up in his arms, grabbing several animal skins in passing. After the bath, he had no intention of coming back at all. Yuzu sat on his solid, thick arm, steady and secure. The veins on Faye's arm bulged. She couldn't resist, reaching out to gently touch it. Sure enough, it was as hard as his abs. Faye was used to this. Only wrapped in a single animal skin. Yuzu had seen Faye's physique many times, but each time it felt different. Before, she only felt his tall frame made her afraid. Now, she couldn't help but let her thoughts run wild. With her own small frame, how could she withstand it? Faye leaned close to her ear and whispered. The color of his eyes grew darker. Yuzu was enveloped by the cool stream water, but Faye forcefully pressed the back of her neck and kissed her wildly, mixed with undisguised desire. Feeling his further movements, her voice trembled slightly. Faye. Faye simply picked her up horizontally and strode toward the cave. Seeing that she was still wrapped in a layer of animal hide, Yuzu was about to reach out and tear it off, but was stopped by a soft little hand. Animal hide. The clothes aren't ready yet. If it gets ruined, you'll have to wrap yourself in leaves. Her voice trembled violently. The man's body was scorching hot. Yuzu's thoughts were in disarray. Distinct skin tones intertwined together. The night passed in the blink of an eye. The next day at noon, when Yuzu woke up, a soft animal hide was draped over her body, barely covering the crucial areas. The stone cave was empty except for her. She didn't know where Faye had gone. She tried to lift her hand, but it was so sore and weak, she couldn't muster any strength. It took over 10 minutes before she could barely sit up. Looking down, her arms were covered in blue and purple marks. She couldn't see the marks on her neck, but she could imagine what they looked like. The animal hide that had been beneath her last night had been replaced with a new one. Scenes from the previous night flashed through her mind like a movie. Her face flushed red. It took a long time for her to regain her composure. Faye's strength was a bit too much. She carefully examined her waist. Fortunately, there were no bruises. It's just that last night she had been tightly restrained the entire time, unable to break free at all, and could only let him do as he pleased. Gritting her teeth, she picked up the dress beside her and put it on. The marks on her body were especially conspicuous. Fortunately, she wouldn't run into anyone here. Otherwise, she'd have to hide in the cave for at least a week. She was moving with great difficulty. Faye suddenly strode in. Seeing her struggling even to move, he immediately went over and wrapped his arm around her waist, leaned down to kiss her. Lie down. I'll apply the medicine for you. Yuzu's whole body was soft and limp, making him reluctant to leave. But she truly couldn't take it anymore. Even though Faye had been trying his utmost to hold back, Yuzu still cried out in pain. To care for her feelings, large beads of sweat broke out on Faye's forehead, falling onto Yuzu. His voice was hoarse. Does it still hurt? Yuzu looked at the medicine wrapped in leaves, shuffled backward a little. Leaning against his arm, she said, "It doesn't hurt anymore." Upon hearing this, Faye moved to lift her skirt. Yuzu quickly refused. "I'll do it myself." This shy demeanor made Faye lean lazily to the side. With a half smile, "Why won't you let me apply the medicine? Afraid I'll see." Getting close to her, Faye's throat tightened. Last night wasn't just about mating. Faye's hand slowly tightened its grip. Yuzu was made dizzy by his words. Angry and embarrassed, she rested her head on his shoulder, not looking at that face. "You really say anything? Last night wasn't harmonious at all. Most of the time it was just pain." She kept wondering if it was because the thermos was too hot. That's why it hurt so much. Yuzu insisted on applying the medicine herself, but was suddenly laid down on the fur. "If you won't let me use my hands to apply the medicine, then we'll change the method." Faye's chest is like a copper wall and iron bones. Yuzu couldn't shake it in the slightest. "Faye, just like the name suggests, is truly wild. What is said will definitely be done. Last night had already fiercely verified this point. Yuzu had no choice but to softly beg for mercy. But the soft voice instantly reignited Maple's anger. So hungry. So painful. The words coming from Yuzu's mouth made him both angry and amused. How come having a partner is more agonizing than not having one? There was no argument over who would apply the medicine. He was afraid. He couldn't resist, so he got up and walked out. By the river, there was meat that had been grilled long ago. Afraid she would get too hot, Faye deliberately chose a more distant spot. It still radiated residual warmth. Now, just the right temperature for eating. The fruits had also been picked early in the morning. She could eat them as soon as she woke up. Yuzu breathed a sigh of relief, quickly finished applying the medicine, got up to wash up, then sat beside Faye, eating the meat he had torn into small pieces. Faye also fed her some from time to time, until her belly was full and round. Can't finish it. Yuzu looked at the wild fruit that had appeared in her hand again, and muttered quietly. Faye, however, was pleased. Her appetite today was much better than usual. Do you want to sleep a little more? If you like the fruit, I'll go pick some in a few days. After a pause, he added. Adult females won't grow taller anymore, but they can gain a little weight. Holding her feels soft and more comfortable. Saying this, he passed another large piece of roasted meat over. Yuzu shook her head like a rattledrum. Can't eat anymore. She ate until she was full. Faye's action just now was purely instinctive. He carried Yuzu back to the cave. Holding her in his arms felt exceptionally satisfying. The cave entrance near the water was concealed by dense branches. Only scattered sunlight filtered through. It was quite cool. Being held. Yuzu didn't feel hot either. The space inside wasn't large. Probably Faye slept here during the hot season because he feared the heat. Even the animal hide was only brought yesterday. Yuzu suddenly lost her drowsiness before the great wind season arrives, judging by Faye's stamina. I'm afraid she'll have to spend a shameless life with him in the cave. But living a stable life also requires capital. Before that, the most basic conditions need to be arranged. Right now, the cave only has a stone bed, the most basic stone pot, bowls. Even a stone jar for holding water is missing. Faye isn't afraid of the cold. He can still go out hunting during the cold wave. He doesn't need these things. But she can't. When it's cold, she wants to drink hot soup. It warms the whole body considerably. The more she thought about it, the less sleepy she became. She simply sat up, looked at the man beside her. I can't sleep. Then you don't get to sleep either. Faye, lying on the animal hide, drew in a sharp breath. His throat bobbed as he said, You've been squirming non-stop in my arms. I couldn't sleep anyway. I never knew before that I could endure this much. Not holding you feels awful. Holding you feels awful too. Yuzu was stunned for a moment. Her face turned pale, then flushed. Before she could speak, Faye had already leaned over her. Then a fiercely invasive kiss landed on her lips, carrying suppression and restraint. Yet the breath was scorching. Their fingers had somehow intertwined, gently squeezing his palm, wanting him to get up. But was held even tighter. After a long time, she finally waited for him to reluctantly release her hand. Yuzu, having caught her breath, spoke weakly. If you can't sleep, let's get up and work. Faye didn't seem to take her previous words seriously, and reminded her again. I really meant it when I said I would build a headed bed. It can keep females and young beasts from freezing during the cold tide season, reducing casualties. Beast-style things aren't as complete as modern ones. The heated bed might not work as well when built. If it can provide warmth once made, that's good enough. We can slowly improve other things later. I wanted to say this before, but Shunning and Sister Yuna, they were very busy. Fei's expression became much more serious. Yuzu had said. He was thinking about other things at the time, and didn't take it to heart. Hearing it again now, he had more thoughts in his mind. Holding Yuzu's hand. Speaking of why Auntie asked him to go over after a while. Every year, there are newly transformed males, to help them survive the windy season better. Before that, they need to be taught hunting skills. This task is done by me every year. This year is no exception. He can refuse anything, but not this. Only when the tribe has many strong males will other tribes be wary. Can females and young beasts be better protected? All these males understand this. So there are only minor conflicts within the tribe. There are frictions between the northern tribes, but they are still within controllable limits. The common enemy is the male beastman from the west, meeting the gaze of the young king, who is listening to him obediently, touching the softest part of his heart. Just wait obediently at home for me to return. I will come back as soon as possible. I will take turns with shunning to go. Don't worry about food and drink. You can do whatever you want with Yuna. If you need anything, just tell them directly. I will make everything clear. Yuzu nods, somewhat dazedly. This is just like joining the army before going to the battlefield. The more skills you learn, the greater the chance of survival. Only when the tribe is strong can they be safe. In modern times, war is far away. Because we are protected by a strong motherland. Here, we can only rely on the protection of the tribe's males, and all she can do is to take good care of the home, waiting for him with peace of mind. Feng also saw that her spirits had improved a bit. Now, having strength. Yuzu nodded, having received a definite answer. Feng did not hesitate. Only by going back and trying will we know if it can work. Can make plans early. After returning to the cave, Fei transformed into beast form, howled at the sky, quickly gathered the males living here together. The sound was deafening. Yuzu covered her ears in the distance. It felt like childhood, relying on shouting for everything. Only the sound was louder and traveled farther. Before they arrived, did not forget to find some vines full of leaves, wrapped them around her shoulders. If she looked like this, and was seen by other males, he would really shoot them dead. Shunning and Yuna lived the closest, hurriedly ran over. In the middle of the day, running until covered in sweat. Brother, Yi, what's the matter? Shunning, still on the way over, shouted and asked. The last time there was such a big commotion was when males from the west came to steal things, making him have to take it seriously. Wait until everyone arrives to talk. Shunning looked as if facing a great enemy. Fei still explained a sentence. It's not about fighting, but it's important. Yuna still had fear in her eyes. Before she came of age, she had always lived in the Western beast world. I know what life is like there. I also know how terrifying the males there are. I thought it had something to do with the West. My heart instantly leapt into my throat, hearing Wild Brother say that. I patted my chest and let out a sigh of relief. I walked over to Yuzu's side. That really scared me to death. What on earth is this about? She was very curious, having been in the tribe for so long. Without urgent matters, everyone just lives their own lives. This kind of situation is rare. Yuzu told Yuna about her ability to make a heated kangbed, since the decision was made to do it. There's nothing to hide. Under her incredulous gaze, Fuming and Flare had already arrived. They also voiced the doubts in their hearts. Fei also used her eyes to reassure Yuzu. Tell them how to do it. Get moving as soon as possible. A few others have taken their partners out to play. It will take them longer to return. Don't wait for them. As for the specifics of how to do it, Yuzu had already explained in detail to Fei. Facing their curious looks, she repeated it once more. She couldn't help but feel grateful. She had slept on a kang since childhood, seen it many times, naturally knows how a heated kang is made, what materials are needed, what the order is, how to do it. She explained it all, one by one. Faye recorded it in detail on a stone. The few of them listened, utterly confused. They looked at each other blankly. Fighting is what they're good at. But listening to these steps and the things needed, they were forgotten in the blink of an eye. In order to build the heated kang bed properly, Yuzu explained in great detail. But the few people beside her were just dazed, as if they hadn't taken it in, which gave her a bit of a headache. Don't space out. What things are needed? Faye has already written them out. Prepare them first. You can see the effect only after it's made. Then you can space out again, and won't be too late. The characters Faye wrote on the stone were crooked and scrawled. Yuzu couldn't understand a single word. But that didn't stop Flare and the others from being able to understand. This is when Faye's importance became apparent, because every year he has to teach the newly adult males how to hunt. How to do it, how to allocate tasks is what he's best at. Each person remembers one thing. Prepare everything and put it in Fuming's cave. He doesn't have a mate right now. If the cave explodes, they can also go squeeze in at Fuming's place. Couldn't be more suitable. Fuming first couldn't believe it. Then grinned from ear to ear. Big brother, you're so good to me. For such a good thing, the first person you thought of was actually me. He just said it. Although Big Brother usually hits him the most. But whenever there's something good, the one he thinks of is definitely him. Flare looked at him as if looking at an idiot. Forget it. He's known what his younger brother is like for a long time. Don't expect him to become smart. Shunning instantly laughed out loud, then immediately shut her mouth. You're overthinking it. Now only you and Flare have no partners. If the cave explodes, we can still squeeze in at Flare's place. But Faye never thought about hiding it from him. Ruthlessly shattered his fantasy. Hurry up. Don't dawdle. Yuzu saw, fuming, freeze for a moment, seeming a bit wronged, glared at Faye, then noted down something needed, quickly went out to search for it. Yuna brought Yuzu to Fuming's cave. Very large, similarly empty. Found a suitable spot inside. Waited for them to return to start working. Yuzu looked around here and there. Yuna was still dazedly spacing out. Previously Shunning found a good place. Took her to play. Encountered males from the giant bear tribe, coming to steal the prey they had been eyeing for a long time. Shunning wanted them to know whose territory this was. Immediately called Shuan and Brother Yi. Beat the giant bear tribe males nearly to death before feeling satisfied. On the way back, they discovered Yuzu. Due to past experiences, believed the giant wolf tribe was the best. If a young female is picked up by another tribe, encounters bad males, even if underage, she could be tormented to death. So they brought her back. Who knew they picked up a treasure? She still can't quite believe it. When the cold wave arrives, there are males for warmth. Meat is sufficient. Every tribe still has females and young beasts dying. Because the males need to eat, they can't stay in the cave all the time. In a short period of time, the weak ones won't be able to hold on. It's just like Yuzu said. If all the females and young beasts of the giant wolf tribe can survive, the tribe will become stronger and safer. After she has her cubs, she won't have to fear not surviving the cold wave either. At this moment, Yuzu became different. I really want to hold her and give her a good few kisses. In fact, I couldn't hold back. I held her and planted kisses all over her face. Yuzu, you're so wonderful. Yuzu, being kissed, hurriedly backed away, almost falling to the ground. Wide-eyed, she looked at her sister Yuna. What are you doing? Rubbing the goosebumps on her arms. Suddenly pulling this stunt left her completely bewildered. Yuna's tone was full of excitement. Yuzu, the heated king can really be made. You are my great benefactor. Not just my great benefactor, but also the tribe's great benefactor. The male beastmen of the West are very fierce. The environment there is not good. There aren't as many fruits and prey as in the north. They are always ready to come and snatch prey, snatch females. If it weren't for the unity of the northern males, then those living here now would be the male beastmen from the West. The Western tribes are made up of many rogue beastmen. Females are, in their eyes, it's about giving birth to cubs. It's not at all like the giant wolf tribe. Every male cherishes his own mate. If they become powerful and occupy the north, we females would be used by them to endlessly bear cubs. We wouldn't live as well as we do now. As she spoke, Yuna went from happy to breaking down. Her mother only gave birth to her, and after she couldn't have more children, the days she lived through left a vivid memory, one she could never forget. So when the male beastmen of the north went to attack the West, she persistently begged Shunning to bring her back. Yuna's eyes were red. Yuzu went over and patted her back. The tribe's males will become more and more numerous and stronger. In the future, we won't have to live in fear anymore. Yuna's emotions come quickly and go quickly too. After a short while, she smiled again. Only then did Yuzu breathe a sigh of relief. As for what Sister Yuna said about benefactors and such, she hadn't thought about it. Everything she did was also to make the tribe stronger, so they could live here peacefully and securely. She just needs to take good care of her own small family. King once again recalled the clothes Yozi wore yesterday. They were beige. Although loose and baggy and full of holes, it wasn't hard to see they were made from thread. She originally wanted to ask Sister Yuna, but then thought that she didn't even know these most basic things. If Sister Yuna pressed for details, still have to make up excuses. Her brain really can't fabricate that much. Avoid if possible. Better wait a bit and ask Faye. After all, she knows there are many things she doesn't understand. Men probably wouldn't care about these small matters. The few of them worked quickly. Once the necessary things were prepared, they started building the heated kangbed. Yuzu patiently explained over and over. They were strong and didn't feel tired. In the short time by evening, they had already roughed one out. At this speed, it will be finished soon. Faye recalled the steps for making the heated kang in her mind. Put down the items in her hands. Do it tomorrow. Go back. Squatted down to let Yuzu climb onto her back. He had seen many times Yuzu stepping on relatively hard stones would show a painful expression, even though barefoot just the same. There were many wounds on her feet. Flair watched the backs of big brother and sister-in-law as they left. Said to fuming, "Let's go. Although your cave didn't explode, it's too messy to sleep in. Come squeeze in with me." Walking ahead alone. With Fuming's temperament, he would naturally follow. Fuming hadn't planned to sleep here anyway. Even if second brother didn't say it, he would have gone over. Could also just find a random place to sleep. But transforming into beast form is too hot. Not transforming into beast form means there are small insects. Still more comfortable sleeping in a cave. Yuna and Shunning didn't care how they slept. As long as they could sleep with their mates, it was fine. Holding hands, slowly heading home. Yuzu on Fanjai's back felt fine at first. Not long after, his hand kept pinching her thigh. So proper while working. Changed when the two were together. Making her flustered. Stop pinching. Better hurry back and take a bath. Faye had been busy all afternoon. Now, the sky slowly darkening. Still hot. Sweat continuously beading on his forehead. A bath was definitely needed. And to bathe with his mate, gently placing the person in the water. Faye then turned around. Yuzu also had sweat continuously beading on her forehead. Felt somewhat heartache for her. Soaking in the water to get rid of the heat. Yuzu, of course, happily agreed. Just entering the water. The contrast between cold and hot was still a bit uncomfortable. Then she didn't want to leave anymore. It became much cooler after getting here. But compared to being in the water, of course, the water was even cooler. She squatted down completely. Only her head was exposed. Then she swam another lap inside. In the end, she was lifted out by Feng as well. Fei pinched the back of her neck. His tone was cold. I've called you 3 times already. Why won't you listen? Females have weaker bodies. Staying in the water too long can easily make you sick. Get out once you're not hot anymore. I haven't been soaking for long at all. At most, only 20 minutes. Back when I first learned to swim, I was very enthusiastic. I wished I could stay in the swimming pool all the time. That was much longer than this. Fei ignored what she said, pulling her towards the edge. The fur on her body dripped water all the way as they walked. He then carried her into the cave, watched her take it off, and only let her be after she wrapped herself in animal hide. The prey was caught by flare when making the heated bed. He could go without eating. But Yuzu couldn't. He handed over one of the fruits picked in the morning. If you're hungry, have something to eat first. The meat will take a little longer to cook. Watching him go roast the meat in the distance, Yuzu couldn't sit still. She adjusted the animal hide on her body, made sure it wouldn't fall off, and went to his side. Fei didn't turn her head, continued skewering the meat onto the branch. Why did you come over? It's hot here. Didn't sit too close. It's not that hot either. If you sweat again, just go wash. Before the words were finished, changed what was said under Fei's gaze. Just wipe it off. Somehow felt a bit pathetic. Heard too much about henpecked husbands in modern times. Turns out she's the most useless one. Became a wife-pecked husband. Her pitiful little face made Fei somewhat amused. It's not that you can't wash. It's that you can't take too long. Under his teasing gaze, Yuzu, somewhat embarrassedly nodded. Remembering Yuzu's soaking wet hair, Fei spoke up. I've memorized the steps for making the heated kangbed. It's too hot there. You don't need to go tomorrow. I'll take you to see it after it's done. You can have Yuna come here to keep you company. Or you can go find her. Can talk and chat. Males get straight to the point when they have something to say. If there's nothing, they each do their own thing. Don't spend much time gathered together. But females don't seem to be like that. Wherever there are females, it's always noisy and bustling. Fei also heard from shunning. Yuna said, the great discipline officer is bored being alone. No one talks to her. Having a familiar female to accompany her would definitely make her much happier. What the cave needs after having a mate? Already asked shunning today. After the fire pit is finished, he will bring everything back. These are what he should do. Yuzu just needs to be by his side. Yuzu also thinks it's fine. She also has many things to do. She came over originally because she had something to ask. What was the leather Yozi wore yesterday made of? My eyesight isn't as good as yours. I didn't see clearly. Fei sees the meat is almost cooked. Uses a bone knife to cut it into small pieces. Adds some water, salt, and fruit juice. Thinks for a while before answering. Made from the threads that grow on the thread balls. That thing breaks easily when pulled. Fei hasn't paid special attention to it. But some females like it. Weave it into leather to wear on the body. It grows on trees. Yuzu is surprised. This completely overturns her understanding. That probably isn't thread. Since it can make clothes, it can also make other things. Never mind where it grows. Seeing her eyes light up, Fei shows a smile. You like it? I like it. With this, many things can be made. In summer, you can wear animal hides. But not in winter. Need to wear a set of close-fitting clothing. So you won't feel drafts. Can make some things. There are many uses. Fei's disbelieving look makes Yuzu wrinkle her nose. Clothes have already been made. Making some other things wouldn't be strange either. She isn't afraid of Feng discovering anything either. She just launches into a whole spiel at him. Faye went from astonishment to a chuckle. Such a vivid expression was very much like that of a young beast. A deliberately fierce expression made when angry. Much better than being afraid at the sight of him before. His distinctly knuckled finger pressed against her lips. Only then did Yuzu stop. "It's not that I don't believe you. I'll go pick it tomorrow." Yuzu sensitively detected the change in his mood. She didn't say anything more. "He'll know once it's made." Seeing that the sky was completely dark now, Yuzu quickly finished eating, washed up, and pulled Faye to rest. This was a habit she had developed before. After a tiring day, one should sleep early to have energy for the next day. Plus, she hadn't had a proper sleep for a while before. Pillowing her head on Faye's arm, she soon fell into a deep sleep. Faye lay in the cave, unable to sleep. Once the hot season arrived, his body was always burning hot. Before, whether it was day or night. If he could sleep, he slept. If he couldn't sleep, he wandered around outside. Being pulled along by his partner to rest together was quite a novel experience. Although busy this afternoon, he wasn't tired. He opened his eyes and looked at Yuzu's sleeping face. Rosy-cheeked, looking very well behaved. Just as he thought about reaching out to pinch her cheek, the person pillowed on his arm found him too hot. Rolled over twice, getting farther and farther away from him. Faye pulled her back twice. Not long after, she rolled away again. He even got kicked once, sleeping so soundly. So she sat up, looked at her injury. After a series of actions, Feng also leaned close to Yuzu's ear. A low, hoarse voice carrying an inquiry. "I know you're awake. It's not swollen anymore now. It's just still a bit red. Is it already healed?" "No. If it's red, it's not healed yet." Yuzu, feeling apprehensive, was almost scared to death just now. No matter how soundly she was sleeping, his actions were enough to wake her up. Turned her back. Changed the subject, saying, "Why does my back hurt a little? Was I bitten by a bug?" "It was bitten by a bug. And a big bug at that." Faye raised an eyebrow and chuckled lightly. The partner curled into a ball, her refusal meaning very clear, knowing it was deliberate. He still softened, pulled her into his arms in one motion, smelling the scent at her neck. Fragrant, listening as her breathing went from rapid to long and even. Early in the morning, Yuzu stood under the thread tree. It was only because she strongly insisted that Faye brought her here. On the way, he even had Shunning bring Sister Yuna over too. Before leaving, he reminded her several times, said her leg was injured. Play here for a while. Faye would come pick them for her after he finished his work. Yuzu looked at the long threads on the tree, her eyes shining. Strands of thread hung from the branches, swaying in the wind. Grabbed one and felt it. It had a texture like wool, just not as thick. It can still break under force, but she couldn't help herself, as if seeing a treasure. The thread tree has branches growing from the very bottom. Climbing up is very easy. And it won't hurt the legs. With experience from climbing fruit trees, she took 2 or 3 steps closer, grabbed the branch and started climbing up. Watched from the side as she began climbing the tree. Understanding what Yuzu wanted to do, she glanced disdainfully at the silk growing on the tree. "Yuzu, do you want to use this to make skin to wear? But the material is very fine. Blown by the wind, it all gets tangled together. It's troublesome to handle. Making skin from it is even more troublesome. Animal skin is more comfortable to wear and not easily damaged. She doesn't have the patience to deal with this stuff. But Yuzu really likes it. She can help pick it together." Yuzu was already standing on the branch, picking all she could reach into her hands. She caressed it lovingly, unable to put it down. "Sister Yuna, this feels very soft to the touch. It's good stuff." We can wear animal skin in the hot season. During the cold tide season, wearing a layer of this as skin close to the body, and then putting on furry animal skin will be even warmer. When it's cold, we can also use a stone pot to boil hot water. Use this to wipe our faces. Wipe our bodies. Anywhere we want to wipe, we can wipe. It's very convenient to use. Yuna habitually felt it wouldn't work, whether in the west or the north. During the cold wave season, one can easily get frostbite. No females or young beasts think about wiping their bodies. They dare not get too close to the burning fire. They can only feel a slight warmth. Those with young beasts at home can't keep the fire burning all the time. It would be very smoky. Then they thought of the heated kang bed they were already making. Their eyes lit up again. They could even take baths. After the kang is built, won't the cave be warm at all? Yuzu raised a smile and nodded at Yuna. Under her hopeful gaze, in modern times, no matter how cold the weather is, after heating the kang, the entire room becomes warm. Yuzu doesn't know how cold it will be here. So the answer is somewhat conservative. During the cold wave season, we'll seal part of the cave entrance to keep the cold wind out as much as possible. The kang and its surroundings will be warm. Even if the surroundings aren't warm, the kang will definitely be warm. Wiping the body with hot water should definitely be possible. Hearing Sister Yuna's hee-hee laughter, Yuzu felt somewhat helpless. This laughter is really something else. Without stopping the movements in hand, a large handful was picked in no time. After placing it on the branch, they continued picking. Hearing you say that, it does seem quite useful. But it's not easy to make it all. What comes out is full of holes. Halfway through speaking, Yuna also started climbing the tree to pick. If there are holes, then there are holes. As long as it works. Yuzu, up above, wanted to reach out and give a hand. Not surprisingly, I was disliked. Don't you pull me. In a moment, I'll pull you down. If you get hurt from the fall, brother, you will definitely come to give me trouble. You were looking at the tree and didn't see. Before leaving, brother, ye said so much to you. Shunning and I were stunned beside you. Heh heh. Yuzu heard the familiar laughter again, knowing nothing proper would come out of her mouth. Interrupted. Pick more to take back. I know how to make them neat and tidy. Only then did Yuna stop laughing. Became serious. Really? Then teach me. Although there are many things inside the cave, but there really isn't anything made from this stuff. I don't have that patience. Yuzu agreed seriously. Although she still can't make clothes or anything, but she can knit scarves. Copying the method shouldn't go wrong. It might be uglier, but it can definitely be made. Yuna, while picking, suddenly thought of something. Exclaimed. Such thin silk can be made into usable things. Then long fur definitely can too. It's thicker than this. And bigger than this. And it's not as tightly tangled as this. It would be much more convenient to work with. Only then did Yuzu stop her hand movements. Turned to look over. Long fur. Right. There's also the white round ball. The more Yuna talked, the more she thought those were better than this. The cold wave males will come out of the cave to eat. The females in the tribe before that will pick some and bring them back to place on the stone bed. It will be warmer. What can be placed on the stone bed? The first thing Yuzu thought of was wild cotton. The beast world only has 3 seasons. Many plants and fruits bloom, bear fruit, and ripen within the short span of a single season. It feels somewhat unbelievable, yet also feels perfectly normal. Where around here has some? Yuzu stood on the tree branch and asked several questions in a row. If it really is wild cotton, then in the future we can sleep on a soft bed. Yuna, busy, didn't even look up. The white round balls still need to wait a while. When the time comes, I'll take you to pick a lot. They can also be used during the bleeding days. Yuna sized up Yuzu. Now that you're an adult, you'll need them. Yuzu definitely doesn't have any. In a bit, go to my place first and take some. Bleeding. That way of putting it is really direct. It really does involve bleeding. At noon, I'll go to your cave to see what you have. I'll make some according to that. Faye didn't need them before. The cave is bare inside. There are still many things to prepare. Yuzu really wants to go see. To see what items and things she doesn't recognize. Men are rather careless. Yesterday, I asked Faye about thread count. He did know what it was. But that was pretty much the extent of his knowledge. Sister Yuna is different. She's a native here. What things can be used for what? She knows it all clearly. Go ahead. Anyway, Shunning has things to do. And I'm free. Besides, brother, you will definitely let you stay with me. If not in our cave, then in your cave. They're clearly not far apart. I don't know why he's so worried. Yuzu looked at her own figure. Maybe I'm too thin and timid. He thinks I'll fall even while walking. After saying that, she felt quite embarrassed. Being guarded like a porcelain doll. Yuna laughed heartily. Her own situation when she first arrived was much more miserable. When I first came to the giant Pillar King tribe, I was even more timid than you. Want to know why? Yuna looked under the tree. She flipped onto the tree trunk Yuzu was stepping on and asked with a mysterious look. Yuzu was confused by her heavily sneaky action, then nodded without hesitation. As long as you're a girl, there's no one who doesn't want to eat melons and hear gossip. It's considered a kind of fun. Yuna started to recall. The corners of her mouth stretched wide open. You could tell she was extremely happy. Before I came of age, I lived in the western part of the beast world, living a miserable life. Staying alive relied entirely on having a tough fate. Previously, male beasts from the west came to the north to steal things. The males from the north fought back. And then I met the tall and fierce Shunning. Just let him bring me back. Yuzu listened with great interest. Faye said Yuna was brought back from the west by Shunning. But how she came back, she didn't know. After coming back, I stayed in his cave. Shunning's mother thought I was a female from the west, unwilling to let me stay there. Made me live with the underage females in the tribe. There was also a female who liked Shunning. For 2 days in a row she came to say I was shameless. But I grew up in the western beast world. Heard plenty of insults. As long as Shunning didn't tell me to leave, I wouldn't leave. About to come of age, I followed Shunning every day. Wherever he went, I just let him take me along, pestered by me until he had no choice. Not long after we became mates, Yuzu gave him a thumbs up. With some admiration too, knowing that staying in the West wouldn't lead to a good life, bravely breaking free from that environment. Although Yuna hadn't seen this poem, from Yuzu's face she could tell she was being praised. She smiled and continued speaking. Before, there were more males and females on that mountain. As soon as you left the cave, you couldn't avoid being pointed at and gossiped about. Shunning brought me here. Only then did it become much quieter. Before, I thought he became my mate because I pestered him. Last year, during the cold wave, Shunning was afraid I would freeze to death. Only when he was truly starving did he go out to eat. He rushed back quickly to warm me up. Only then was it confirmed that he also liked me. After a moment, Yuzu didn't hear her speaking anymore, raised her head in confusion. And then it was gone. She was still listening with great interest. Where did the process of falling in love go? Gone. Didn't the two of us live happily together afterwards, just waiting to have cubs? Yuna looked at her puzzled. You want to hear about mating too? Yuzu blushed deeply. These things were not for her to hear. Seeing her like this, Yuna started giggling again. Yuzu could only pretend not to hear. In her previous life, her father passed away when she was very young. Her mother remarried. She lived in the countryside with her grandmother. The aunties in the village said whatever they wanted. Your father was unlucky. Left early. Your mother is heartless too. Leaving you here uncared for and unattended. Not even coming back to visit. Your grandmother has the hardest life. At such an old age, she still has to raise you. Hearing these words often really makes one feel inferior. But her situation was still considered good. The neighbor uncle, not far away, had 2 daughters, never cared for them. Only knew how to drink, play cards. Came back drunk and beat them. Once she saw with her own eyes. The 2 older sisters covered in bruises from the beating. Not even their eyelids were spared, swollen very high. When others mention it, they only say as a child, who hasn't been beaten by their parents. So she didn't like that place. Always wanted to take grandma and leave. While studying diligently, she started taking on endless part-time jobs. Unfortunately, grandma left before she could grow up. Life really doesn't seem to be smooth sailing. Do what you can. Living well is what truly matters. Till she heard the sound from below, Yuzu snapped back to reality. Sister Yuna had already gone down and was holding shunning, talking non-stop. Face stood straight as a rod. Arms crossed. His dark green eyes fixed intently on her. Remembering how before he left this morning, he said several times for her not to climb the tree. Somehow, Yuzu felt a bit timid. The 2 locked eyes. Fei transformed into his beast form. His height was about level with where Yuzu was standing now. Fei found a spot where the branches were relatively sparse, shaking his head. He squeezed through a gap, letting out 2 snorts from his nose. To express his dissatisfaction, Yuzu felt it, but still thought he was so adorable. She already liked fluffy things. Now, a fluffy head was right in front of her. She hurriedly reached out to give it a rub. Meeting his disapproving gaze, she explained with a smile. This tree is different from a fruit tree. It's easy to climb up. These things I picked. I can make some undergarments. Make some for you too. Fei narrowed his eyes comfortably from being petted. Moved a bit closer. Moved his head a bit, signaling for her to climb up. Yuzu nervously crawled over along his head and sat on his neck. She had already sat on his back once this morning, so she was still a bit scared. From this height, falling would be the end. After making sure she was seated firmly, she continued petting the soft fur on his neck. It will definitely be very warm in winter. So nice. After transforming into beast form, the thick layer of fur is just too hot. He placed Yuzu back in a cool spot, transformed into human form and climbed the tree to pick. These tasks aren't tiring for him at all. But they would definitely be tiring for Yuzu. His movements were very swift. Before long, from a big tree, the silk threads were picked almost clean. After jumping down, Fei casually wiped his sweat. I'll do these things from now on. Even though there was shade from the leaves today, it was still very hot. Yuzu pursed her lips. I told him this morning, even though I can't do heavy tasks, I should still do what I'm capable of. It doesn't make sense to push all the work onto Fei alone, while she just watches from the side. Her stubborn little self sat there without a word. Fei licked his lips and crouched down, afraid she would get tired. Why are you still unhappy? How come you can fall asleep as soon as you lie down at night? And have so much energy during the day? Rest more in the cave, so you'll have strength at night.